Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. The Montreal Canadiens have been one of the most talked about teams this summer, and for good reason. This team, historically one of the most storied franchises in the NHL, has been in a bit of a transitional phase for a few seasons now. But this summer, the Canadiens are making it clear, they're not done yet. They're still aggressively pursuing ways to strengthen their roster, to build a team that can contend once again for the Stanley Cup, and they're doing it with a clear sense of purpose and a long-term vision. The buzz around Montreal is palpable, and the recent moves and rumors are fueling expectations among fans and analysts alike. Let's go back a little and set the scene. Last season was a mixed bag for the Canadiens. They showed flashes of brilliance, especially from their young core, players like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and the emerging Ivan Demidov. Caulfield in particular had a breakout year, showcasing his goal-scoring prowess, while Suzuki continued to serve as the team's captain, leading by example and demonstrating his leadership qualities. Demidov, the Russian sensation, has been a bright spot, and the Canadiens are clearly counting on him to be a cornerstone of their future. Despite these promising signs, Montreal knew they needed more firepower, especially in the top six, to truly elevate their game and make a serious playoff push. That's why the offseason has been so intense. After making a significant splash by acquiring Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders, an elite right-shot defenseman who's expected to anchor their blue line for years, the Canadiens aren't resting on their laurels. They've set their sights on bolstering their forward group, particularly their scoring lines. The trade for Dobson was a statement of intent, showcasing management's willingness to make bold moves, but it also revealed their understanding that they need more offensive depth to compete at the highest level. Defense wins championships, yes, but scoring wins games, and Montreal is fully aware of that. So, what's next? Well, sources close to the team have revealed that Montreal isn't finished yet. They're still actively exploring options to add top six help, especially on the wings. One of the biggest names on their radar is Jordan Kyrou, the talented winger from the St. Louis Blues. Despite the Blues' challenging season last year, Kyrou has been seen as a player who can provide that explosive scoring punch Montreal desperately needs. His no-trade clause complicates things, but the Canadiens are known for their patience and strategic approach. They've also been keeping tabs on Evgeny Kuznetsov, the talented center who's been looking to make a comeback to the NHL after spending time in the KHL. Kuznetsov's skill set and experience could be exactly what the Canadiens need to add some veteran leadership and playmaking ability down the middle. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How feasible are these moves? Well, Montreal's management, led by General Manager Kent Hughes, has been quite transparent about their cap situation and their long-term plans. The team is currently over the salary cap by around $4 million, which means they need to make some salary cap gymnastics to bring in new players. Carey Price's contract, with its hefty signing bonus and remaining salary, is high on the list of potential trades or cap relief options. Price, who's been battling injuries over the past few seasons, has a cap hit of $5 million, but much of that is covered by insurance. Still, moving his contract could open some much-needed space for other acquisitions. And speaking of cap space, Montreal is eyeing some strategic moves to shed salary. They're considering various options, including potential buyouts or trades involving players like Jayden Struble, who's yet to sign his contract. The goal is to create enough room to not just sign their current roster, but also to make additional moves later in the summer. The team has been linked to several veteran players and promising prospects, and there's even speculation that they might look into offer sheets or trade negotiations for some of the top RFAs around the league, like Jason Robertson or Martin Necas. But one thing is clear, they're playing the long game, balancing immediate needs with future flexibility. One of the most intriguing rumors concerns Evgeny Kuznetsov. Reports emerged that he's looking for a fresh start and that several teams have shown interest. Montreal, with its need for a reliable center and their interest in bolstering their depth at that position, fits perfectly. Kuznetsov, who's been a top-tier playmaker in the NHL, could slot right into Montreal's lineup, especially playing alongside Ivan Demidov, with whom he's familiar from their time in SKA St. Petersburg. His style of play, creative, elusive, and capable of generating offense, would complement the Canadiens' existing young talent nicely. Plus, signing Kuznetsov wouldn't just be about adding talent, it's about adding experience and leadership to a team that's still developing its identity. Now I want to pause here for a moment. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Montreal Canadiens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Because folks, what's really interesting about Montreal's approach this summer is their patience. They're not rushing into deals just for the sake of it. They're carefully weighing options, weighing long-term benefits against short-term gains. They know that building a true contender isn't about quick-fix moves. It's about strategic, well-planned acquisitions that will pay dividends down the line. This methodical approach is reflected in how they're handling their prospects and potential trades. For example, there's been chatter about other centers like Joe Veleno, or even exploring the possibility of making a bold move with a high-end offer sheet, although that seems unlikely given their current cap situation and the risk of losing high draft picks. The Canadiens are cautious about giving up future assets, especially considering their recent draft history and the importance of developing their young talent. They've been very clear that they're not interested in compromising their long-term window for a quick fix. That said, they're not just sitting still. Montreal's management is actively exploring the market, looking for ways to improve their roster without jeopardizing their future. They've been linked to various players, and their scouts are working overtime. The team's philosophy remains rooted in building from within, but they understand the necessity of adding proven NHL talent to make the next step. That's why players like Kuznetsov, Kyrou, or even veteran centers from other teams are on their radar. And let's talk about the draft for a moment. Montreal's recent draft strategy has been interesting. They've prioritized acquiring high-upside prospects and filling specific needs. The Noah Dobson trade was a clear indicator of that, bringing in a top-pair defenseman who can be a franchise cornerstone. But they also used some of their draft capital to move up and select players like Zachary Bolduc, a winger with high potential. The team wants to develop a mix of experienced veterans and young prospects, creating a balanced roster that can compete now and in the future. Looking ahead, the Canadiens' offseason plans will likely include more moves, whether that's trading salary, signing free agents, or making strategic trades. They're aware that the window for their current core is narrowing, and they want to maximize their chances before their young stars hit their prime. They're also keeping an eye on their cap situation, which remains a challenge but also an opportunity. For instance, the potential signing of Kuznetsov, who's reportedly weighing several offers, could be a game-changer if it materializes. His ability to play both center and wing provides flexibility and depth. Of course, no discussion about Montreal would be complete without mentioning their fans, the backbone of this franchise. The passion, the hope, and the unwavering support are what keep the Canadiens relevant and motivated. Fans are dreaming of a return to the playoffs, a deep run, and ultimately, another Stanley Cup. Montreal has a rich history of success, with 24 championships, tying the record for the most in NHL history. That legacy is a driving force behind everything they do this summer. The team's management is acutely aware of the expectations, and they're working tirelessly behind the scenes to meet them. In recent seasons, Montreal has faced some tough years, with injuries, roster upheavals, and the challenge of integrating young players into a competitive team. But the core of the franchise remains proud and determined. They're building a team that respects their history but also looks forward. The recent trades, signings, and rumors all point to a franchise that's serious about contending again soon. And with the depth of talent they're assembling, the right moves could catapult them back into playoff prominence. Looking at the bigger picture, the Atlantic Division is shaping up to be as competitive as ever. Teams like Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Florida are all loaded with talent and hungry for success. The Canadiens want to be right there with them, and their recent moves suggest they're not just aiming for a playoff spot. They want to make a real noise. They're aware that to do that, they need to add scoring, depth, and leadership. That's why the pursuit of players like Kyrou and Kuznetsov is so critical. They can provide that spark. And of course, fans are eagerly awaiting what Montreal will do next. The summer is far from over, and the team's front office is working around the clock. The next few weeks could be pivotal, with trade negotiations heating up, free agents making their decisions, and the draft approaching. Every move will be scrutinized, debated, and celebrated by the faithful. The Canadiens have a proud history of resilience and comeback stories, and right now, they're writing the next chapter. As we get closer to the start of the season, hope is alive in Montreal. The team's core is young but talented, and with strategic additions, they could surprise many. The fans' patience and passion remain the team's greatest assets, and the management's focus on building a competitive, long-term contender is evident. Whether it's through that big trade, a key free agent signing, or a surprise prospect, the Canadiens are preparing to make a statement. They want to remind everyone why they're one of the league's most iconic franchises. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these rumors? Are you optimistic about Kuznetsov or Kyrou coming to Montreal? Do you think the team needs to make a big splash, or should they focus on developing their young players? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news. This summer is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory, and Montreal is right at the center of it all. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Habs!